but misinterpretations were developed. For example, regarding the sacrifice of fruit of work for God, it is clearly stated as Karmajam buddhi yuktahi phalam tyaktva manishinaha. Gita. The meaning of this is manishinaha means scholars. Buddhi yuktahi having intellectual analysis. Tyaktva means living. Karmajam phalam means the fruit of work. That is attain the divine place. This will result in attaining the divine place. This is misinterpreted like this. Scholars having intellectual analysis, leaving the attachment to the fruit of work, attain the divine place. Here, the attachment to is extra addition by the commentator, which is not in the original text. The commentator means that only attachment to fruit of work shall be sacrificed and not the fruit of work directly. By this, the fruit of work need not be sacrificed and can be saved, and one has to sacrifice the theoretical attachment to the fruit of work only. Hence, Krishna was very clear in the concepts, but the commentators twisted the interpretation so that practical sacrifice of fruit of work, which is very inconvenient, can be avoided. The monism of Shankara was very much followed, in which one is already God and one has to simply remember that he is God. Shankara sacrificed all the golden fruits rained by goddess Lakshmi to the poor lady who gave him a small fruit only, and this is not remembered by anybody in studying the philosophy of Shankara. Next question. Sri Bharat Krishna asked, Swami, before I started learning spiritual knowledge, I heard different comments about conducting a homa. I was told that scientifically this was proven. I heard that conducting a homam will generate a lot of positive vibrations and it also kills all the microbes in and around the area where it is conducted. Later on, later I learned from you that doing homam by burning ghee will generate smoke, which will cause pollution. Was what I learned before totally wrong? Swami replied, whatever you have understood about Homa is totally wrong. Homa means supplying food with excess of ghee to the divine preacher and the devotees participating in the spiritual discussions. That is Satsanga, which is offered to the hunger fire in the stomachs of the participants by themselves with the help of their own hand. Here, the possessor of hunger fire, that is Vaishvanaragni, is himself assumed as fire. Agneyo Vai, Vaishvanara Pravishtya Hi, Pravishtya Tidhi. Both,
Vishatihi.
oh, Pravishyati, yeah.
Vishati.
These two are from Veda. Hence, the fire, Agni, to which ghee means food associated with excess of ghee, is offered, and the person offering the ghee to the fire, that is Hota, are one and the same. This is told in the first hymn of the first Veda called Rigveda, Agnimile Hotaram Veda. This hymn says that Agni, fire to which ghee is offered and the person offering the ghee are one and the same. This is possible only when the hungry person is eating food with excess ghee with his own hands, supplying the offering to the hunger fire called Vaishvanaragni in his stomach. The Bhautikagni or Laukikagni is the physical fire lit by sticks, is used in cooking the food with ghee. Agneya Mastha
అజ్ఞేయమష్టాకపాలం
Charum
చిరుం నిర్వపతి.
Nirvapati Veda. The food associated with the ghee is called as ghee by Lakshana Vritti, just like the possessor of apples is called as apples. In the sacrifice conducted by Dasharatha, several fire altars were lit to cook the food with ghee. From one such fire altars, the angel appeared and gave payasam as the fruit. Fire is lit to cook the food, which is instrument used in sacrifice. Yajna sadhanam laukikagnihi. The fire to which the ghee food is offered is the hunger fire called Vaishvanaragni, present in the stomachs of priests and devotees attending that sacrifice. Hence, homa or sacrifice is giving ghee cooked food to hungry guests. The word yajna, that is sacrifice, comes from the root word yaj, which means worshipping God and does not mean burning ghee in fire. Ghee is the most precious food, and the Veda says that no food shall be destroyed by rule. Annam na parchakshita tat pratam. Veda. Due to the misinterpretation of these tape recorder priests who blindly recite the Veda without understanding a single word of it, all this havoc happened. The ancient sages learned the meaning of the Veda and conducted the sacrifice in true light of interpretation, since the Veda itself means knowledge and not mere words sounding Vidil Jnani. Every incarnation of God gave correct interpretation only. The misinterpretations always followed and spoiled the true spirit of the Vedic knowledge. Yogo Nasta Gita. God incarnates again and again to bring up the correct interpretation or true knowledge of the Veda. It is told that God incarnated as fish and brought up the Veda stolen by the Somakasura, by the demon Somakasura. Somakasura means wine, which tarnishes the intelligence, flaring up ignorance. Fish means eye. Eye is compared to fish, or its vision, which is the correct interpretation. Next question, Sri Hrishikesh asks, Swami, these days people are taking all the milk from the cows or buffaloes without allowing the calves to have their share first. Due to this, the children of cows are suffering. So it is sin. Since since those people are doing such sin only because we are buying the milk. Are we also getting the share of the sin? Swami replied, we do not know that the milk is sold to us without allowing the child of the cow to drink the milk, and hence we will not get the sin. The person doing that sin will only get the sin. As such, without allowing the child to drink the milk, the milk will not flow from the breast of the cow. It is clearly told that after the child drinking the milk and after offering to God, the milk shall be taken by us. Vatsasya Homartha Videshas
విధేస్య శేషం.
Shesham Raghuvamsham. Next question. Sri Venudatta asked, Swami, while discussing with one of my friends, we were a little confused with the following statement made by you. When man proposes, God disposes. Can you please explain a little as as to in what context it is applicable? Swami replied, whenever man proposes, he will naturally get ego in his mind. Proposal without ego is very, very rare, which is possible only to spiritually ripened people. To remove this ego, God disposes the proposal, thereby preaching the man that God is the ultimate authority and not the human being. Next question. Sri Navachaitanya asked, Swami, astrology suggests some types of pariharams to relieve ourselves from our current suffering. Is it true, Swami? Swami replied, it is perfectly true. You can worship the deities of planets like Surya, Chandra, Kuja, etc. The deities of these deities also can be worshipped. The deities of planets are the executive powers of God, which implement the fruits of deeds of souls in this world. Apart from these worships, you have to give you have to give food to beggars, and the food shall be specific to the planet. For example, wheat for the sun, rice for the moon, red gram for Mars, green gram for Mercury, Indian chickpea for Jupiter, black-eyed pea for Venus, sesame seeds for Saturn, black gram for Rahu, and horse gram for Ketu are specified grains with which the foods have to be prepared. Next question. Sri Hrishikesh asked, Swami, sometimes astrology suggests us to donate some food items to beggars as a pariharam. What should people of countries where there are no beggars do? How should they do pariharam? Swami replied, hungry animals and birds can be fed. Next question, Sri Ganesh asked, when we donate to some beggars, it is also possible that they do sins after gaining energy by eating the food we served them, right? Question. So Swami replied, this is the reason that you shall not be hurry in doing donation. Generally, we are hasty in doing donation, giving importance to place and time. This is Kashi city. Today is Shivratri and tomorrow we are leaving Kashi, and hence we shall do the donation quickly. In such quick donation, undeserving people receive, and such donation gives us sin. Hence, the Veda says that this first step before donation shall be samvit, which means knowledge of deserving and undeserving receivers. When Krishna donated almost all his wealth to Sudama, neither the place was Kashi nor was the day Shivaratri. Sudama is the best receiver because he never aspired even one paisa from God Krishna at any time. Moreover, even though he and his family were suffering with hunger for many days, he brought some flattened rice from neighbors on loan to donate to God Krishna, you must have a lot of patience and observation in deciding the deserving receiver. Till you find the deserving receiver, you shall accumulate your donations in a box, and when you find the proper receiver, you can donate the entire box to him. The Veda says 2 points regarding the deservingness of a receiver. One, he must have he must have the true spiritual knowledge of the Veda. Second, and he shall not aspire even a single paisa from you. Shrotriyasya akamahatasya. Veda. Next, Sri Bharat Krishna asked, Swami, these days dogs are pet animals to a huge number of people. Sometimes they even consider those dogs as equal as their children. To feed such dogs, when we want to purchase food to feed them, only non-veg food is available in the market. If I buy such food to feed a hungry dog, will it be a sin? Swami replied, non-vegetarian food is obtained by killing animals and birds. Since you are purchasing it, you are encouraging the supply, which means killing fresh animals and birds as per the commercial concept of demand and supply. Hence, it is totally a sin. Next, Sri Nitin asked, Swami, after watching a movie related to Gajanan Maharaj, I have got one doubt. In that movie, a devotee comes to Maharaj almost at the end of his life and sings a bhajan and he gets moksha. How is that? Without learning knowledge and without doing Karmaphala Chaga, he was given moksha by Maharaj. Swami replied, do you know the entire background of the soul which was granted salvation by Gajanan Maharaj? Maharaj knows the entire background of the soul regarding its previous birth and also past life in this birth. In a cinema, it is not possible to show all the background of the soul. We shall not judge the value of the soul based on the present moments only. We must know all the past life and all the past births of the soul to judge its value. Without spiritual knowledge, devotion, and practical sacrifice, salvation is impossible. Next question. Sri Vishnu asked, Swami, can you please explain to me what Atma Sakshatkara means? Swami replied, the word Atman means body in Sanskrit. A part of the body is brain nervous system in which awareness is flowing. Hence, Atman means a living body possessing awareness. Awareness need not be isolated from the body and be told as Atman. You are giving unnecessary stress on the awareness. Of course, awareness is the most precious form of energy. Awareness is a specific work form of inert energy appearing in the functioning brain nervous system. When the Gita says that God entered the human body, it means that the human body is along with its awareness, and it does not mean the human body without awareness. Manushim Tanumasritam, Gita. The Gita clearly says that awareness is a part of creation, Prakriti, called as Paraprakriti or best part of creation. Such importance of awareness Misled scholars to treat it as God. They say that awareness is Purusha and the inner creation is Prakriti. This is a misunderstanding of the classification told in the Gita. The Gita gives two types of classification. One, Purusha meaning God, and Prakriti including souls meaning creation. Second, Purusha means awareness, Prakriti means inner creation, and Purushottama means God. Purusha means awareness or soul in the second classification and not in the first classification. These people take the meaning of Purusha these people take the meaning of Purusha from second classification and apply it to the first classification to conclude that awareness or soul is God. This is a result of confusing the two classifications. God is unimaginable, and where is the question of seeing God with eyes? Even the intelligence cannot imagine God. Sakshatkara means seeing with eyes. Atma Sakshatkara is misunderstood as seeing the soul or awareness. Awareness can be easily seen on the screen of medical electronic instruments as pulses of inert energy flowing. Inert energy is the material cause, like gold, and awareness is like the golden jewel. Soul can be seen with eyes as told in the Veda. Drishyate tvagraya buddhaya. And the Gita and the Gita Pashyanti Jnana Chakshusha. Therefore, when the unimaginable God makes a soul containing body as his medium, that is mediated God, God can be seen with eyes. A soul in energetic body is not seen by human being. A soul with a human body can be only seen by human beings. Hence, a selected human being by God becomes a human incarnation since God enters and merges with it. And such a mediated human incarnation of God alone can be seen. Therefore, the word Atman means the human incarnation of God, seen by us like Rama, Krishna, Shankara, etc. The word Atman also means a simple human being, and thus Atma Sakshatkara can also mean seeing an ordinary human being. Next question, Sri Durga Prasad asks, Swami, is there any single word without which, with which we can identify your philosophy? Swami replied, entire philosophy can be given in three words. First is Datta Parabrahma Matam. This is one compounded word in which three words, Datta, that is mediated unimaginable God, Parabrahma, the original unimaginable God, Matam, means the philosophy exists. This explanation of that is Datta means the first energetic incarnation with which the unimaginable God merged perfectly, and there is no trace of difference between Datta and Parabrahma except that Datta means Datta means God mediated with a relative created medium, whereas Parabrahma means non-mediated original absolute God. Parabrahma is beyond space and hence is always unimaginable to any intelligence and is the absolute truth. Medium of God is either energy for energetic incarnations or matter for human incarnation, which is relative truth. Absolute truth can perform miracles in relative reality, which is the creation. Energetic incarnation is relevant to the upper worlds, and the human incarnation is relevant to earth. Datta means the first energetic incarnation, and Datta also means further energetic incarnations and also all the human incarnations. Datta means simply given, which clearly means that the unimaginable and invisible God is given to the world in this visible, imaginable medium. Second is Jagadamsha Jivatma Matam. And the explanation of it is the soul or individual soul, that is Jivatma, is a part of creation, that is Jagadamsha, created by God. Soul, that is Atman, is inert energy, and individual soul, that is Jiva, is the awareness, which is a specific work form of inert energy transformed in this specific functioning brain nervous system. Both these words are approximately used in the same sense. This clearly means that soul or individual soul is a part of imaginable creation and can't be unimaginable God. Every soul is not God, and we can't say that no soul is God. When unimaginable God descends as energetic or human incarnation, God merges with a selected energetic or human being completely, and such soul is the original unimaginable God who became visible and imaginable. Soul being part of relative world is relative reality only and not the absolute reality. It is God. Third is Jnana Bhakti Sahakruta Karma Yoga Marga Matam. Jnana Bhakti Sahakruta Karma Yoga Marga. Sorry, Karma Yoga Matam. Sorry, Karma Yoga Marga Matam. Sorry. Now, explanation of it is spiritual knowledge, that is Jnana, given by the incarnation of God, generates inspiration called devotion, that is Bhakti. This inspiration transforms the theoretical knowledge into practice, that is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is in two steps. One is sacrifice of service or Karma Sannyasa. Second, sacrifice of root of work or Karma Phalachaga. This is the path to attain the complete grace of God. Knowledge is water, devotion is fertilizer, and practice is the mango plant for which only the divine fruit comes. This is the philosophy of Datta Swami regarding the three components called knower, that is soul, knowable, that is God, and knowledge, that is path to attain total grace of God by the soul. And this is entitled as the philosophy of three components, that is Triputi of Datta Swami. It is Datta Swami Trisudra Matam. So these are the three matams. First one is Datta Parabrahma Matam, second Jagadamsha Jivatma Matam, third is Jnana Bhakti Sahakruta Karma Yoga Marga Matam. This completes the questions those were raised in the Satsanga on October 17. Then later on, the following day, we have another Satsang, and Swami gave answers to those questions also. I am just reading them out. So, first question is, why is it that a specific god is worshipped on a specific day of the week? This was raised by Kumari Mohini. Swami replied, God is only one, but looks as different gods due to different external media. Multiplicity is the nature of human mind. For different external forms of God, different days in a week are assigned so that we can worship every day one form of God, and this results continuous worship of God. The one God is unimaginable to any human intelligence. The external media are different, which are imaginable and visible human forms of God, are invisible, that is energetic forms of God. The Veda says clearly that there is no multiplicity in the case of God. Neha nanasti kinchana. Multiplicity exists in the creation only. The Gita also says that God looks divided in different external media, but he is actually undivided. Avibhaktam vibhakteshu vibhaktam evacha sthitam. The external name and form belong to the creation, whereas the internal unimaginable entity is God, called Parabrahman. Next question. What is the significance of Gotram and how it came into existence? This was asked by Srimati Anita Ren. Swami replied, Gotram means the lineage of the ancestors who can be remembered in the context of telling one's own Gotram. It is just remembering the ancestral elders with respect. While doing worship of God, your name, Gotram, birth star, and your specific desire for doing the worship are also asked to be told before God. God is omniscient and knows everything about you and also about your problem. When the priest is telling all these to God, he is reducing God to an ignorant soul which does not know anything by itself unless the details are mentioned. If God is such ignorant and inefficient soul, what is the need to worship such God who is like us? You shall worship God not for any selfish desire, but you shall worship God due to the attraction towards His divine personality. A fan is worshipping his cinema hero due to attraction towards his personality and good qualities exhibited in cinemas. and his worship is not based on any selfish desire. When you reach that stage, you have climbed the first step in the divine life, and then only God will just look at you. Next question. Do we need God's grace in order to do service to human incarnation of God? This was raised by Kumari Lakshmi Trailokya, and Swami replied, contemporary human incarnation is relevant to humanity, which can clear all your doubts and will guide you in the right path of spiritual life. You cannot even imagine the original absolute reality called unimaginable God. Such unimaginable God gets mediated with energetic or human forms. The energetic incarnations are invisible though imaginable and are not of any use for personal contact to get the spiritual knowledge. Such energetic incarnations can be only worshipped as photos and statues which do not have any characteristic of life. Hence, the only ultimate is the contemporary human incarnation, because even past human incarnations can be also worshipped as statues and photos only. Certainly, God's grace is necessary. Certainly, God's grace is necessary for any step in the worldly life or in the spiritual life. But God's grace comes only when there is self effort. God is not so cheap to run after us, showering His grace on us without any effort from our side. Even if we put effort, He tests the strength of your sincerity and force of attraction towards Him before showering grace on you. For worldly life, attraction to God is not necessary, and simple fear is sufficient. In spiritual life only, the attraction to God plays the key role in every step. Next question. Why is Suprabhata Seva done to any form of God, though we know that He never sleeps? This was asked by Srimati Sudharani, and Swami replied, if you take God Krishna, He is a homogeneous system of four components existing in a single phase called human form. The components are: 1. The unimaginable God or Parabrahma. Second, first energetic incarnation called Datta. Third, the energetic incarnation called Vishnu. And fourth, the human form of the son of Vasudeva, that is Vasudeva. The unimaginable God the unimaginable God merged with the first energetic form and became God Datta. This God Datta, called as Hiranyagarbha or Narayana or Ishvara, merges with another energetic form to become God Vishnu. This God Vishnu merged with the son of Vasudeva in the womb of Devaki and finally God Krishna is born. The first three components have no hunger, sleep, etc. The last human form has hunger, sleep, etc. When God Krishna is sleeping, as per the inherent nature on one side, the other three components do not have sleep on the other side. All these four components are homogeneously mixed, having mixed properties. The major property is awareness without sleep, whereas the minor property is sleep. Hence, both angles are correct. But the angle related to the human devotees is sleep only, since their nature is also the same. From the angle of human devotees, such Suprabhata Seva is meaningful. But from the angle of highly realized devotees, such service is not necessary. But we have to ask such highly realized devotees also whether they are sleeping or not. Since every human being is sleeping, we can give value to this service from the point of this entire humanity. In fact, this service shall be done only to contemporary human incarnation and not for photos and statues. But majority of humanity affected by ego and jealousy does not identify the contemporary human incarnation, misled by the unaffected properties of the external medium that masks the internal God. Avajanantimam Hita. Only one blessed devotee conquers ego and jealousy and identifies the contemporary human incarnation of God. In view of this majority lot of devotees, the photo or statue itself is assumed as the alive contemporary human incarnation, and the services are done so that at least the theoretical devotion of devotee grows. When such devotee conquers ego and jealousy and identifies the contemporary human incarnation, the already grown up theoretical devotion can be practically expressed. The path is to be modified in different modes to cover up all types of devotees, and defects are always inevitable in the beginning stage. Sarvarambahi doshena hita. Next question. Swami, do you say that Shodashopacharas done to you is not so important? Srimati Sudharani asked this question, and Swami replied, the 16 types of service are actually meant for the contemporary human incarnation only. Thinking about God in human form is jnanam. Invitation, that is ahvana. Third, offering chair to sit, that is asanam. Giving water to wash feet, that is pajyam. Giving water to wash hands, that is argham, etc. are meant for alive human form of God and not for statues which do not require such services. Of course, serving statues can be also done if contemporary human incarnation is not available. Service to statues fails in offering food, that is Naivedya, because statues do not eat food. Instead of contemporary human incarnation, even the devotees to God can be served because sage Narada says that God lives in devotees also. Tanmayahite. Next, God in human form feels happier if his devotees are served, just like a father feels happier if his son is served. Service to statues gives growth to theoretical devotion only, which is the mother of practical devotion when human form of God is recognized and served. Next question. Swami, how do we convince non-believers of God that Sri Krishna lifted Govardhana hill? This was asked by Srimati Vijaya Tirumala. Now Swami replied, "Why are you so particular about lifting up the hill? So many other miracles, which are unimaginable events, were performed by several human incarnations and great devotees. Do you feel that those other miracles can be explained and only lifting the hill can't be explained? Countless miracles were performed by Bhagavan Sri Satsai Baba till recently, and audio video cassettes also are uploaded. The main point is the existence of unimaginable God as source of these unimaginable miracles. There is no qualitative difference between a macro miracle and a micro miracle because both are inexplicable. Next question. Swami, how do I know whether God likes what I am doing or not? This was asked by uh, Kumari Lakshmi Trailukya. And Swami replied, what God likes and what is not liked by God is clearly told in the scriptures. He never likes the sin that disturbs the pravritti or worldly life of humanity. He likes good deeds, and he told in the Gita that he likes the propagation of true spiritual knowledge. Jnana yajnena tenaham istasyam. By propagating spiritual knowledge, we are also benefited because the knowledge gets digested by us through repeated preaching, and we are also benefited. Even if others do not show interest and do not get the benefit, certainly we are benefited. Next question. How do we know someone is bad when these days even bad people act in good manner? This question was asked by Srimati Bharati Bhosle, Nitin's mother. Swami replied, ants will give the true color of the mean. Phalanumeya prarambhaha. This is from Raghuvamsha. You can very easily detect the bad hidden during the process of means by observing the end. Duryodhana served King Shalya while he is coming to fight on behalf of Pandava. When Shalya was extremely pleased with the service rendered by Duryodhana, Duryodhana asked him to fight on his side. Hence, ends bring out the color of action. Next question. Can I consider a bad person as my friend if he behaves well with me? This was asked by Kumari Lakshmi Trailokya. Swami replied, a good person always behaves well with all the people. Hence, the goodness of the person in your case is with some bad intention. You have to be careful with him. Till his bad intention is exposed, you have to also act well with him. Next question. Whom should we serve? That is, a person trying for Atmajnanam or a person doing God's work? This was asked by Sri Rajasekhar. Swami replied, certainly, God wants that the humanity existing in his creation must be served with the propagation of true spiritual knowledge, since it keeps every person in the right path, avoiding the sin, paving a way for world peace. The person suffering with a disease is undergoing the punishment of his sin. God cures the disease of such a person if God has a hope that the person will spiritually progress on becoming healthy. If such hope exists in the view of God, not only the disease, any worldly problem will be solved by God. If such hope does not exist, the person is allowed to undergo the punishment so that at least a temporary reformation is possible in the soul. A person goes to Himalayas to meditate on God in a peaceful atmosphere, away from the worldly bonds, in order to fix his mind strongly on God. This is very beginning stage. A person of higher level starts serving God through propagation of spiritual knowledge, by which not only the mind is fixed in God, but also God is simultaneously pleased. It is something like earning while learning. Next question. Should I invite undeserving relatives to the family functions like marriage? This was asked by Sri Bharat Krishna. Swami replied, it is better not to invite undeserving people, even though they are relatives. And it is better to invite deserving people, even though they are not relatives. Next question. Mooda Bhakta Sirakanda Nirguna Rupinai Rupinyai Namaha. What is the meaning of this sloka? This was asked by Vijaya Tirumala. Swami replied, this does not carry any systematic meaning. Next question. Swami, although Draupadi's or Subhadra's marriage happened in the direct presence of Sri Krishna, why she suffered a lot? This was asked by Miss Lavanya. Swami replied, this shows the impartiality of God towards his relatives. Presence of God is not important. but the will and grace of God is important. One may be present in a meeting which is addressed by the DGP. Does that mean that the same person will be saved from the crime committed by him? Next question. Does starting a business good for a devotee who is still on the process of developing devotion? This was asked by Sri Bharat Krishna. Swami replied, business is always risky because there is a possibility of total loss also. Doing a job with limited standard income is uh, is always better for getting livelihood while doing God's work. The peace of mind is very important in doing God's work. Next question. Does God punish us for living a worldly life? This was asked by Sri Rajsekhar. Swami replied, justified worldly life will be appreciated by God. And where is the punishment of God in it? God punishes only unjust worldly life that disturbs the peace of the world. In the case of Ahalya, she met in she met Indra in the disguise of Gautama, knowing that the person in disguise is Indra and not Gautama. Devarajantu Vijnaya, Valmiki Ramayana, and hence she was cursed by Gautama. Next question. If a person celebrates Navaratri festival in a grand manner, can we say that he is a great devotee? This was asked by Srimati Sudharan. Swami replied, the function conducted in grand manner does not please Goddess Durga. If we have served a real devotee on the occasion of such function, Goddess will be really pleased, and then only you are counted as a great devotee. This ends uh, the all questions. Now we can discuss.
Thanks, uncle. Yes, we can. If you have any questions, you can ask Swami now.
Surya, hello.
Yes, Swami.
ఆ లెటర్ చదువుతా అంటారే
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. See, recently, we have received a mail from one devotee. It's a foreign devotee, Eric Elbers. He told, he wrote a mail addressing Swami to His Holiness Sri Datta Swami. Dear Sir, I am a devotee in the Dattatreya tradition, following Mohanji as my guru. With his blessings, I have commenced building a permanent website for Lord Dattatreya and his fearless avatars and masters. I am leading a 9-person team to provide an introductory portal to the Dattatreya tradition on the internet. The goal of the website is to be one, introductory in nature, information in content, and inspirational in character. Like Hemant Pant, I have no skills of my own and can only accomplish this task with the blessings of the Lord. I do not even have an Indian birth and a Hindu religious background. But this website is not just for Hindus, it is for the world. There will be a section dedicated to the contemporary Dattatreya incarnations, and with your permission and grace, I would like to include your incarnation as well. I know it is not correct to mix gurus, but in my understanding, all gurus are one and one, and Dattatreya gurus are a very elevated lineage. So, in addition to the blessings of my Guru Mohanji, may I request your blessings as well for this project and your permission to include a section about you. Sincerely, Jai Gurudev Datta, Eric Albers. This mail is received and he wants to uh, incorporate in that contemporary human incarnation section our Swami in that.
And what Swami replied also you read. Hello? Hello?
Yes, Swami.
My reply also it.
Swami sent a reply to this. Blessings of God Datta are with you. Your request is accepted by God Datta. Datta Swami. This is the reply sent by Swami to that devotee, Eric Albers.
Excellent, Swami. It's very good. In fact, now Swamiji's knowledge spreading all over the world. People are coming and joining and propagating Swamiji's knowledge. Now it is clearly visible that roads are already, you told me very long back that already roads are already laid down. Now the roads are now we can able to see. And Swamiji's knowledge spreading all over now. Swami. Even several people are accepted Swamiji's knowledge is a very wonderful knowledge, and so clear, and knowledge is very clear and very simple. So the explanation is very beautiful, and moreover, every day people are joining into this Swamiji's knowledge and impressed by Swamiji's knowledge. Reading Swamiji's discussion, they are impressed by Swamiji's knowledge. Excellent, Swami. And one more thing, you explained one very beautifully about Datta Swami's philosophy. Datta Swami Trisutra Matam. Really wonderful, Swami. Datta Parabrahma Matam. That Durga Prasad sir asked about this question. Please explain Datta Swami knowledge in one word, but you explained very beautifully. The entire essence of your knowledge was we can able to see in one page. Explained very beautifully Datta
Swami,
Matam.
there was some response in groups also. In some YouTube videos, we posted some knowledge, and there some people responded. One Ammar Akbar Anthony, he told, "What a lovely, inspiring, and uniting post amid all the hate that is spewed on the internet. May God bless you abundantly for being a messenger of peace. Blessings." Similar one there is from one foreigner, Philip Lerner. He told, "It's an interesting comment. I enjoyed reading this." And he expressed his happiness